Hello, I'm Marina Kim and these are the latest news from Kazakhstan. Kazakh Prime Minister Karim Masimov had visited Pavlodar region after the wildfire was liquidated. To be or not to be for the OSCE summit held in Astana this December. Financial police had publicized the footage showing an entrepreneur's attempt to bribe the officer. Kazakh Prime Minister Karim Masimov had visited the Pavlodar region where the wildfire had broken up last week, covering the northeastern region of the country. Fire had killed 7 people. Just prior to Masimov's visit, a woman died in the Pavlodar hospital. When the fire was over, the Prime Minister claims that Kazakhstan needs to launch the manufacture of firefighting equipment. Next story has the details.
The consequences of the wildfire, as seen from the air, covers almost 4,000 hectares of burnt forest. Prime Minister Karim Masimov had personally evaluated the consequences of the fire that had spread over the northern Kazakhstan last week, killing 7 people. A woman died in the hospital on Tuesday night. The head of the cabinet visited the family of the ranger who died while fighting the fire. Human death, burned down forests and millions of dollars for liquidation of the accident seemed to be persuasive, so that the operation session was launched right in one of the tents. The emergencies minister, along with the heads of the suffered regions' administrations, explained that fire was not localized on time due to the lack of special machinery. Seals are outdated, they couldn't even enter the forest because of the sandy soil. It didn't have enough power and volume. I would also bring your attention to the necessity to expand the fire aviation. Prime Minister agrees that the equipment is really important, but it must be manufactured locally, said Masimov. This problem could be completely solved only if we had our own manufacturer. We shouldn't let the money go out of the country like that. They must work inside, enter into the protocol as an instruction. It was revealed that a criminal case was instigated against the national Kegok company. As far as I know, the materials were transferred to the local internal affairs department at the moment, and a criminal case was instigated on this case. But against whom? Against the electricity transporting organization. As a result of the meeting, it was ordered to hold fire prevention measures in the woods. For more efficiency purposes, it was recommended to coordinate the work of the frontier areas and take actions in cooperation with Russian agencies.
Residents of the southern Kazakhstan region who survived the severe floods in early summer this year continue living in the tents. 9 residents of the Zhilga village arrived to the Regional Emergency Situation Department office yesterday, demanding to explain why they were not provided compensation. As a result of the stormwater, more than 50 houses were destroyed. Next story has more.
Residents of the Zhilga village in southern Kazakhstan have waited for promised assistance for already 3 months. Desperate residents who lost their homes as a result of the floods came to the Regional Emergencies Department office. The authorities failed to compensate all who suffered from disaster. My husband is disabled, children are unemployed as there are no jobs in the village. We're barely surviving and can't repair the house on our own. We have no place to live as the house is flooded as soon as it rains. In the early summer, the storm waters have flooded more than 50 households in Saragash region. A part of the buildings were washed away while others were destroyed out of the moistness. Then the authorities promised to render urgent assistance and launched a tent camp. The assistance was limited with that, as the tents accommodate dozens of families ever since. Women tried to literally storm the entrance of the Emergency Situation Office building. The security officers claimed the officials were absent, however, half of the hour later the latter came out to protesters. Regarding the assistance on small repair works, they must refer to local administration. These houses are good for living. The Commission had confirmed it. There are some thin cracks, but any 50-year-old house may have them. Emergency situations officials claimed that more than $50,000 were allocated to compensate the losses of Zhilga residents. Money was spent, the Commission work was completed. Therefore, the residents were sent back to the local administration to clarify the situation.
The Astana summit of the OSCE member states leadership may be interrupted. Such statements have been voiced abroad, while some others demanding to deprive Kazakhstan from the chairmanship status. Foreign emissaries who visited Kazakhstan recently and were disappointed to see the violations of basic democratic principles seem to understand they are a bit late with their reaction. Not much time is left until the summit, which must become a resuming point of Kazakhstan's OSCE leadership term. Next story has more.
The OSCE Secretary-General Mark Perrin-de-Brechambau's interview on the Georgian Rustavi 2 channel had raised an alert in Kazakhstan, as he told that the upcoming summit to be held in Astana in December may be wrecked. The doubts are confirmed by the moods of the European emissaries who have recently visited and negatively evaluated the situation in Kazakhstan. Not only it was a rush, frankly speaking, it is a shame for OSCE member states who consciously closed eyes on it. We will do everything possible during 2 upcoming months to try to open them a little bit at least. Yesterday, during a regional gender and migration training, the head of the OSCE Center in Astana, Alexander Kilchevsky, had made it clear the summit with heads of member states will be surely held. It appears that this European Parliament member found out about it too late that in 2007 all 55 member states have decided to appoint Kazakhstan as the OSCE chairman. Commenting the interview of the OSCE Secretary-General, Kilchevsky noted that hints and possible wreckage of the summit is nothing but a diplomatic game pursuing certain goals. Kilchevsky, though, didn't indicate which exact goals he was talking about that the OSCE leadership may pursue. However, he doesn't exclude the possibility of early interruption of the chairmanship. Anyway, such outcome doesn't seem to be beneficial for all, the OSCE member states, authorities and even ordinary citizens of Kazakhstan. This seems to be the last hope for people, citizens who have gone through all possible instances of the judicial and law enforcement systems and failed to find protection are now trying to appeal to such organizations. Up until the summit, the hunger-striking interest holders intend to continue their protest actions. They have been living like this for already several months and now definitely would not like to give up. For them, opportunity to appeal to OSCE leadership gives a hope to restore justice and return their money. Hunger strike is the last step people can take. This is totally desperate step. When there is no dialogue between the authorities and social layers of population, then people start appealing to OSCE. At the moment, though, the dialogue between the authorities and society seems to be possible only through the OSCE mediation. In the meantime, the question whether or not the OSCE summit will justify people's hopes remains rhetoric. The 9-month chairmanship record over the organization indicates that Europe is not an authority to Kazakhstan.
The Journalists' Protection Committee had addressed the Kazakhstan as a country damaging the reputation of the OSCE as part of its report published in New York. Amongst others, the report includes the facts of persecution of Respublika newspaper, which is critical of the government, as well as the publishing house Kometa S, which prints the mentioned newspaper. Moreover, it reveals the facts of blocking the undesired internet resources.
Author, the European and Central Asian Programs Committee coordinator Nida Agniyanova has visited Kazakhstan just recently. According to her, lately the Kazakh authorities have started using law enforcement and military forces as political tool for suppressing the dissidents. As one of the examples, Agniyanova refers to the scandalous case of Almaty Info newspaper's chief editor Ramazan Yesirkepov and famous Kazakh human rights defender Evgeny Zhovtis. Kyrgyz journalist Gennady Pavlyuk's death in Almaty was also mentioned. The report concluded that for the 9 months of chairmanship over the OSCE, Kazakhstan has made no progress in at least freedom of speech, not mentioning other democratic endeavors.
According to public opinion, the verdict on the oppositionist Yermek Narymbayev, sentenced to 4 years with resistance to police forces and criminal contempt charges, is another example of how the dissidence is suppressed by the Kazakh authorities. Spouse and at the same time a defender of the oppositionist Zoya Narymbayeva had stated yesterday that the Almaty city court is causing barriers to defense by declining its inquiry to get access to the case papers, without which the defense cannot file the cassation appeal. Yermek Narymbayev is held at the Almaty pretrial detention center, has been hunger striking for already 3 weeks in protest of his verdict. Next story has more.
Oppositionist Yermek Narymbayev was transferred to the colony on the east of Kazakhstan. Meanwhile, his spouse and defender at the same time, Zoya Narymbayeva, cannot access the case papers in order to file a cassation appeal, as the judges of the Bostandik District Court avoid provision of trial records and physical evidences. So far, the verdict text is the only document she was able to get. The secretary said that the justice explained, since I got acquainted with the case materials at the city court, I'm not allowed to see them now. It appeared uneasy to find out the rejection reasons. The Bostandik District Court Justice Shinar Yergalieva refrained from speaking to reporters, saying she was extremely busy. In violation of the law on the mass media, the court security had stopped the crew to film inside the building. As a result, we were able to get voice-recorded comments. Are you Narymbayev's representative? No, I'm from the media. Is it Narymbayev's media? I already gave a written response. Yermek Narımbayev was sentenced to 4 years with police force resistance and criminal contempt charges. Just prior to that, Narımbayev had actively participated in the rally held on May 1st. Being already convicted 3 weeks ago, Narımbayev had started a hunger strike. The public activist Jasaral Kuanışalin doubts the medical worker's statements that Narımbayev's health condition is stable and thinks that the political prisoner should stop such actions as it is completely ignored by the authorities. Most likely, this action is not going to be effective. I wish so much this hunger striking produced some results, but I doubt that Yermek will be heard by the authorities. We're dealing with inhumane system, tyranny, and totalitarian state here. Zoya Narımbayeva is not going to give up and says she will do everything possible to achieve the rule of law. As the next step, convict spouse is going to file a claim against the Chief Justice of the Almaty City Court, Yergalieva.
The recent scandal related with the corruption in one of the customs offices in Almaty region is followed by another similar case. Almaty City Financial Police Department had publicized the footage which shows how the local entrepreneur Ms. Gul Abdykazimova, who a week ago had publicly accused financial police in corruption, was trying to bribe the officer. Next story has more.
Almaty City Financial Police Department had publicized unique footages in which entrepreneur Abdykazimova is attempting to bribe the head of the third corruption facts revealing department head Jumabekov with $7,000 for helping to get the trucks with goods stuck in the customs out. What? What? 7. 7 what? For what? Come on, Kinje. You're pushing me for a crime right now. Okay, I guess you like to play with me. The footage is interrupted as soon as the businesswoman puts the dollars on the officer's table. As was told by the suspect, she was immediately seized and taken to the pre-trial detention ward. This video was financial police response to the recent accusations voiced during a press conference held last week. The officers claimed that they never took bribes and the case show on the footage was part of the anti-corruption operation. However, the entrepreneur has her own opinion about this. Yes, I was forced. Jumabekov actually has forced me through Makhatov to refer to financial police. I brought the money. He was being extracting bribe during 1 hour by hinting with his eyes. Moreover, when I was going to leave my bag downstairs, Jumabekov's assistant Pavel Mertin was insisting I carry it with me. Businesswoman Zvoya claims that the situation with Abdykazimova is nothing but a revenge by the financial police for her not collaborating with them on regular basis. Now it seems quite challenging to prove it in the court.
One of the highlights of the upcoming celebration of the Almaty's birthday will be the announcement of the historically precise date of the city's birth. According to numismatists and archaeologists, the Kazakhstan's largest city may be at least 1,000 years old. Such statement was made by the city administration officials yesterday.
The official history records on the southern capital of Kazakhstan started in 1854. Since the area where the Verny fortress was located had been named Apple, the city administration intends to start the celebration with a fair of famous Almaty Zaport apples. Farmers and pastry cooks will compete in preparing the apple desserts. The menu of the holiday will include the giant apple pie, prepared by the best cooks of the city. However, the authorities refrain from calling the sum of money to be spent on this event. We can only assure you that the budget will be efficiently distributed and spent only in line with what we have been allocated. If we used to celebrate the city's birthday traditionally on the square only, this time we will be expanding the number and scale of the event.
The Hyde Park Discussion Club hosted another meeting, this time with the writer laureate of the national and other prizes, Dulat Isabekov.
Despite how diverse were the themes of the conversation, starting from World War II and ending with Kazakh self-identity, theater, drama, one way or the other, it regarded the politics. It was so disappointing, says the writer, as there were no essential questions and discussions on the cinema, drama and his art. Dulat Isabekov had explained such politicization of the society with the fact that people start being so into politics only when they have nothing more serious left to do. I am disappointed. I thought since a person is a novelist, he should have anticipated to have questions on art theme, but they didn't even talk about it. This is what our politicized society is all about. They don't care about the art. They only try to get some political thoughts out of me.
This is all for now. Thank you for watching us and see you tomorrow.